Hello children, how are you all? Hope you all are fine and hope you all enjoyed the Diwali vacation. Welcome again to online classes, and this is Khushbu Maglani and I'm going to teach you social studies. Students, we are going to start with our new chapter of history. Chapter 3, the Delhi Sultanate. Before starting with this topic, what do you understand by history? It is a vast concept. It can't be stated in one or two sentences. But the short and the simplest definition of history is it is the study of past events. So we can say that history is the study of past events. In this class, you will learn about the different rulers of Delhi from 12th century to 15th century. For more than 150 years after the raids, after the attacks of Muhammad Ghazni, India did not face any major attacks. During this period, the Rajput rulers of North India promoted trade with Muslims. Some Muslim traders even settled in India, and the Sufis began to enter India at this time. Muhammad Ghori's invasion. How did Muhammad Ghori invaded India and how did he conquered India? In 12th century, the Ghorid dynasty based at Ghor in Afghanistan conquered Ghazni. Okay, Muhammad Ghori attacked Muhammad Ghazni and conquered Ghazni. Muhammad Ghori, a Ghorid ruler, attacked India and occupied Punjab and Sindh around 1190. Okay, Ghori attacked India and occupied Punjab and Sindh around 1190. Prithviraj Chauhan, who ruled over Ajmer and Delhi at this time, also wanted to control Punjab. Okay, Prithviraj Chauhan also wanted to control Punjab. This led to two battles. Because of this, two battles, we have seen that there two battles happened between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori. This battles happened at Terain near Delhi. Okay, these battles happened near Delhi. Ghori lost the first war in 1191. But after a year, again Muhammad Ghori attacked Prithviraj Chauhan, and in the second war, in the second battle in 1192, Muhammad Ghori won. Okay, he was succeeded in capturing Prithviraj Chauhan. He defeated Prithviraj Chauhan and occupied Delhi and Ajmer. After winning some more territories, Muhammad Ghori decided to leave India. After winning some more territories, Muhammad Ghori left India, okay, and gave all the duties to one of his able general. Okay, he decided to keep an in charge of all his territories. So he kept his able general Kutubuddin Aibak as the in charge. Okay, Muslim rulers often chose to give such important offices to slaves. Okay, Muhammad Ghori gave all the duties of all the regions of India to Qutbuddin Aibak because Muslim rulers used to choose their slave and because they trusted their slave more than their relatives. Okay, Muslim rulers chose to give such important office to slave because slaves were considered to be more loyal than the sons and other relatives. They often saw their sons and relatives as rivals. Rivals means competitors, okay? Enemies, competitors. So they chose to give such work to the slave, to the salaried person. So their own sons and relatives were seen as rivals and competitors. So Muhammad Ghori trusted and kept General Qutbuddin Aibak as the in charge of all his Turkish territories. Establishment of Delhi Sultanate. After Muhammad Ghori's death in 1206, Muhammad Ghori died and Qutbuddin Aibak proclaimed himself as the ruler of Turkish territories. Qutbuddin Aibak, the in charge, announced himself as the ruler of all the territories of Ghori. Okay, all the Turkish territories of Ghori. He took the title of Sultan. Now he was the new king and he took the title of Sultan and made Delhi as his capital. Okay, this was the beginning of Delhi Sultanate. This was the beginning of Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate had mainly 5 dynasties: the Slave dynasty, the Khalji dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty, and the Lodi dynasty. The Slave dynasty, also known as Mamluk dynasty. Mamluk means slave. Okay, the Slave dynasty was founded by Qutbuddin Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak was the first Muslim ruler of Delhi Sultanate. Okay, so Delhi Sultanate is the period of 1206 to 1526. Okay, Mamluk dynasty or the Slave dynasty ruled Delhi from 1206 to 1290. The Khalji or Khilji dynasty ruled Delhi from 1290 to 1320. Next, Tughlaq dynasty ruled Delhi from 1320 to 1412. Then after, Sayyid dynasty ruled Delhi from 1414 to 1451. Next, and the 5th dynasty, Lodi dynasty, ruled Delhi from 1451 to 1526. Sources of information. Historians have learned about the Delhi Sultanate from archaeological sources and literary source material. Archaeological source means remains like forts, monuments, some tools, some walls. Okay, so historians have learned about the Delhi Sultanate from archaeological sources and from the literary sources, means the source found in the written form. Something is written in the written form. The archaeological source includes the buildings, forts, tombs, places of worship, mosque, articles such as weapons, tools, coins, clothes, and ornaments. The literary source includes the writing of travelers, scholars, officials, court historians of that period. Being close to the court, these authors wrote mainly about the life in urban administrative centers. Their works did not say much about the ruler life. Means the historians used to stay in the city area. So they have not written about the life in the rural, in the remote areas, in the village area. Okay. Ibn Battuta was a traveler who has given the literary source Rihla. Okay. Ibn Battuta's Rihla gives us valuable information about the life during the Sultanate period. The court historians who were patronized by the rulers, who were supported by the rulers, and they used to write all the positive things. They used to write all the good things to impress and to get good rewards by the king, by the sultan. Okay, so the historians of the court were patronized by the rulers and wrote the tarikhs. Tarikhs in plural, Twarik. They wrote the Twarik in which they wrote all the events of sultans, okay, and achievements of sultans. However, they usually wrote to please their patrons. They usually wrote to make the sultan happy. Okay, they wrote all the good things to get good rewards. This is one of the drawback. This is one of the disadvantage of scholar Minhaj us Siraj's work. Okay, Minhaj us Siraj is very good scholar of that time. Historian Ziauddin Barani's Tariq Firoz Shahi, however, gives fair information, unbiased picture of that reigns of the Khaljis and Tughlaq. Okay, the historian Ziauddin Barani Tariq. Okay, the history written by this historian gives us an unbiased and a fair, a justified image of the rule of Khaljis and Tughlaqs. So, the findings about the Delhi Sultanate, the inscription, coins, architecture provide a lot of information about Delhi Sultanate. Persian language was used for administration. Authors of Tawarikh, that is the book in which the histories was written by different historians. Okay. Example: secretaries, administrators, poets, and courtiers. That recounted events which happened at the time of different rulers of Sultanate, and the advice and suggestion given by the courtiers, by the ministers to the for proper governance. Okay, the different monuments, buildings, forts, palaces, the mosque, etc. gives us lot of information about that time. Early Turkish rulers, also known as slave dynasty or Mamluk dynasty, ruled from 1206 to 1290. Okay, the first ruler and the founder of slave dynasty, Qutbuddin Aibak, was strengthened by his position by being generous, by being kind to all the subjects. Qutbuddin Aibak was very kind to his subjects, means to the public. Okay, and by entering into marriage alliances. Okay, Qutbuddin Aibak built Delhi's oldest masjid, Quwwat ul Islam Masjid. Okay, Qutbuddin Aibak built the oldest masjid, the Quwwat ul Islam. A masjid is a place of Islamic worship. Masjid means a place where Muslim community people lie down their face, they go and pray there. Okay, it is known as sajda. Okay, they do sajda, they read namaz and worship their god in mosque, in masjid. The second ruler is Iltutmish. Okay, Shamshuddin Iltutmish. Shamshuddin Iltutmish ruled from 1211 to 1236. Qutbuddin's son-in-law Iltutmish extended the throne in 1211. Okay, after the death of Qutbuddin Aibak, his son-in-law, Qutbuddin Aibak's son-in-law Iltutmish ascended the throne, means took control, became the new sultan. He recovered most of the territories that had broken away from sultanate after Qutbuddin's death. Qutbuddin died in the year of 1210, and after the death of Qutbuddin Aibak, whichever territories were broken down, whichever the territories were captured by others or were attacked, was again taken, was again recovered by his son-in-law Iltutmish. He also suppressed rebellions. There were several attacks from Mongols even. Okay, from Mongols there were several attacks, and he suppressed all the attacks from all the enemies. After the Iltutmish died, shortly after Iltutmish's death, his able daughter Razia ascended the throne. Okay, the scholar Minaz Us-Siraj acknowledged Razia's abilities as a ruler. Razia was the only female ruler during the whole Delhi Sultanate. Razia was in power only for 4 years. Okay, the scholar Minhas Siraj acknowledged, recognized the abilities of Razia as a ruler, but he also wrote that her abilities were useless, as raising a woman to the throne was against the custom. Okay, at that time there were gender discriminations. We can also see the gender inequality, the gender discrimination even today. Okay, there the customs are different for girls and boys, the rules are different for males and females. So at that time also there was a huge difference was kept, big difference was kept between females and males. So Razia, though Razia was very talented and was having all the abilities, but Minas Siraj, the scholar at that time, told that it was useless raising a woman to the throne. In fact, Razia faced many difficulties because she was a woman. Also because she favored non-Turkish rulers. The Turkish nobles plotted against her and she was murdered in the year 1240. Okay, so for the time period of 4 years, there the Sultan was a lady. Okay, Razia, a female. After several weak rulers, Ghiyasuddin Balban, a powerful noble, became Sultan. After several weak rulers, a noble, means again a slave, became a powerful ruler. Okay, powerful became noble, became Sultan. In 1266, he continued Iltutmish policy of suppressing the revolts. Okay, the attacks were constantly coming from different regions, from Mongols also. So, after Ghiyasuddin Balban became Sultan in 1266, he continued Iltutmish policy of suppressing the attacks and strengthening the Sultanate's hold over its territories. How to tightly hold on to our territories and stop all the attacks, how to answer all the attacks. Okay, so the policy of Iltutmish was followed by Ghiyasuddin Balban, and he was also very good at answering all the attacks. Balban died in the year 1287. His grandson, the last ruler of slave dynasty, the grandson of Balban, name is not mentioned here, was the last ruler of slave dynasty, and the grandson of Balban was also murdered in 1290. Here comes to an end of slave dynasty. Khalji dynasty. After the end of slave dynasty, the next dynasty who ruled over Delhi was Khalji dynasty. Jalaluddin Firoz established the Khalji dynasty in 1219. The most important ruler of Khalji dynasty was Alauddin Khalji. This is a very familiar name from the history of Delhi. Okay, Alauddin Khalji ruled from the time period 1296 to 1316. Alauddin Khalji established a vast empire. He conquered Gujarat and the conquered Gujarat gave him the access to its port and overseas trade. Okay, the conquest of Gujarat. After winning Gujarat, after taking control over Gujarat, he got access to the various ports and overseas trade. Alauddin Khilji also conquered Malwa and parts of Rajasthan. According to legend, he attacked Chittor, the capital of Mewar in Rajasthan, to capture Padmini, the beautiful queen of Mewar's ruler Ratan Singh. Okay, if you have seen the movie Padmavat, you can also recognize the scenes of that movie that Alauddin Khalji was very impressed by the queen's beauty, by the beauty of Padmavati, Queen Padmavati, okay, of Mewar, the wife of Ratan Singh. Alauddin Khilji was a very powerful ruler and ruled almost the whole of India with Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur was the vice regent, the deputy regent, soldier commander of Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji sent his commander Malik Kafur to bring rich kingdoms of Deccan under control. The Yadavs of Devagiri, the Kakatiyas of Warangal, the Hoysals of Dwarsamudra and Pandyas of Madurai accepted Alauddin's overlordship. Children, overlordship means to obey and consider superior. So, everyone of all the kings of this region, all the rulers of the kingdom accepted the overlordship, accepted the superiority of Alauddin Khilji, and they gave all the riches to Alauddin Khilji. For a short period, Alauddin Khilji ruled over almost whole of the India with Malik Kafur as his chief commander, vice regent, deputy. Okay. So there were two rulers, Jalauddin Khalji and Alauddin Khalji in Khalji dynasty. Then after, Delhi was ruled by Tughlaq dynasty. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq started the Tughlaq dynasty in 1320. He died in 1325 and this dynasty was succeeded by his son Juana Khan, who took the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq is the official name of Ghiyasuddin's son. Okay. Ghiyasuddin established Tughlaq dynasty after After the Khalji dynasty was over, the Delhi was taken over by Tughlaq dynasty. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq started Tughlaq dynasty. When Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq died in 1325, this rule was continued by the son Juana Khan, who took the name of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq laid stress on the advantages and raised many people of humble origins to the high positions. This offended, this was not liked by many other nobles, and they refused to cooperate with Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq made great grand plans and introduced many new policies, many good policies, but all these policies were not carried out properly because of the lack of cooperation. The nobles did not cooperate Muhammad bin Tughlaq. These failed experiments lowered his prestige, his image. The revolts broke out in many parts of his empire. There were attacks on many other parts of his empire, and this began to break away Muhammad bin Tughlaq's empire. Muhammad bin Tughlaq died in 1351. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was succeeded by the cousin Firoz Tughlaq. After the death of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, cousin Firoz Tughlaq succeeded the throne, took the charge. Firoz could neither suppress the revolts nor win back the provinces that had broken away. The Firoz Tughlaq could not suppress the revolts, could not answer the revolts. He was not properly answering the revolts. अटैक जो आते थे उनका सही से मुकाबला नहीं कर पा रहे थे और could not suppress the revolts and could not win back. जो provinces, जो region वो हार चुके थे, मोहम्मद हार चुके थे, वो भी वो जीत नहीं पा रहे थे. So he could not win back the provinces that had broken away. He promoted agriculture, trade and craft. What he did? He promoted agriculture, trade and craft. Built many new towns. He built many small towns and supported learning. After Firoz's death in 1388, the Sultanate rapidly declined. The Sultanate was declining. The power was decreasing and many territories were broken away. This was the time for the rise of new kingdoms. From Muhammad bin Tughlaq's rule onwards, several provinces had broken away and they had formed independent kingdoms. The regions that Muhammad bin Tughlaq had lost, and which the Firoz could not take again. That regions were now different kingdoms, in different independent kingdoms of the king who had won. Among these kingdoms were Vijayanagar, Bahmani, kingdoms of Deccan and kingdoms of Bengal, Jaunpur, Gujarat, Malwa, Mewar, Kashmir, and Assam. Muhammad bin Tughlaq ruled from 1324 to 1351. Okay, after the death of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq continued to rule. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was the brother cousin brother of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. To control he continued to control the Delhi. Meanwhile, at this time, many provinces had broken away and could not be won back by Firoz Tughlaq. This because of the decline of Sultanate, there was the rise of new kingdoms. Taimur's invasion. Invasion means attack, okay? To conquer, to attack and to win and to conquer. Taimur's invasion. Taimur Lung, Taimur the Lame, was the ruler of the region around the Samarkand in Central Asia. In this image, you can see the remains of Tughlaqabad built by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. After the Tughlaq dynasty, the Taimur invaded Delhi. Okay, the Taimur Lung, the Lame, who was the ruler of Samarkand, located in Central Asia, invaded India in 1398 and occupied some territories in northwest. Taimur invaded India in 1398 and occupied some territories in northwest. In northwest, he then plundered Delhi. On his way back to Samarkand, when he was returning to Samarkand, he plundered Delhi. When Taimur was returning, he plundered Delhi. He looted Delhi. Okay. He looted Delhi and other cities. Okay, lootna. Okay. He looted the cities and he also took the skilled artisans. He also took the artisans who did architectural work, who did different type of arts on monument. He took the skilled artisans. Taimur left an Afghan chief. He left an Afghan chief named Khizr Khan in charge of his Indian territories. Whatever territories he had invaded, he had won. He kept in charge Khizr Khan. The Tughlaqs could not recover their power. The Tughlaqs could not recover their power after Taimur's invasion. Their dynasty ended in 1412. In 1414, Khizr Khan, the in charge of Taimur, occupied Delhi. He established Sayyid dynasty, which lasted for a short time which lasted till 1451. After Sayyid dynasty, Lodi dynasty ruled Delhi. The Lodis were Afghans tribesmen. The Lodis were Afghans tribesmen. Tribesmen means group of particular caste of people which settles at variable places. The Lodis were Afghans tribesmen. Many of them entered India during Muhammad bin Tughlaq's rule. Reign means rule. In 1451, Bahlul Lodi founded the Lodi dynasty. In 1451, Bahlul Lodi founded the Lodi dynasty. In 1489, he was succeeded by his able son Sikandar Lodi. After the rule of Bahlul Lodi, after Bahlul died, the throne was extended. The rule was succeeded by his able son Sikandar Lodi. Sikandar was a just ruler and patron of arts and learning. Sikandar Lodi always loved arts and learning. He supported learning and arts. He was a very just, fair ruler. He founded the city of Agra. He founded the city of Agra, which he made his capital. He died in 1517 and was succeeded by his son Ibrahim Lodi. Sikandar Lodi shifted his capital from Delhi to Agra. He died in 1517 and after his death the throne was succeeded by his son Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi was also a very good ruler, but Ibrahim Lodi did not get cooperation and support by his uncle and the different nobles. In 1526, Babur, a Central Asian chief, invaded India. In 1526, a Central Asian chief attacked India. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi on the battlefield of Panipat. Babur invaded India and he fought the battle with Ibrahim Lodi, in which Ibrahim Lodi lost the battle and Babur conquered India, conquered Delhi. Okay, on the battlefield of Panipat. This was the Battle of Panipat, in which Sikandar Lodi's son Ibrahim Lodi lost. Okay, Ibrahim Lodi lost the battle and Babur won the battle. So, thus the Lodi dynasty and the Delhi Sultanate came to an end. Thereafter, Babur established the Mughal Empire in India. So, from 12th century to 15th century, the earliest 15th century, that is 1526 till 1526, this time period is known as Delhi Sultanate. After Lodi dynasty was ended after Ibrahim Lodi was defeated. The Lodi dynasty came to an end. Along with it, Sultanate also came to an end, and Babur won many territories of India. Babur also won Delhi, and he established the Mughal Empire. Let's have a quick recap of the topic of the five dynasties. First, India used to face attacks by Muhammad Ghazni. Okay, by the Muhammad Ghazni. After more than 150 years of the raids of Muhammad Ghazni, India did not face any major invasion. So, after Muhammad Ghazni's raids, Rajput rulers traded with Muslims, and Rajput rulers Tomars ruled Delhi. After Rajput Tomars ruled Delhi, they were succeeded by Chauhans. Okay. The Chauhans captured the city from Tomars. So Tomars and Chauhans were the Rajput rulers who ruled Delhi till 12th century. In 12th century, Muhammad Ghori of Ghor in Afghanistan conquered Ghazni and invaded India. Muhammad Ghori occupied Punjab and Sindh. At that time, Prithviraj Chauhan, Chauhan ruler who ruled Delhi and Ajmer, also wanted to control Punjab. Because of this reason, there were two battles between Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan. Okay, so in the first battle of Tarin, Prithviraj Chauhan won, and after a year, the second battle, Muhammad Ghori won. Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan and occupied Delhi and Ajmer. Okay, so this was the first time when Muslim rulers captured Delhi, occupied Delhi. Muhammad Ghori decided to leave India, and he appointed General Qutbuddin Aibak, his slave, as the in charge of his territories in India. Okay, Muhammad Ghori appointed Qutbuddin Aibak as the in charge of the territories after Muhammad Ghori's death. Okay, after the death of Muhammad Ghori in 1206, Qutbuddin Aibak announced himself as the ruler of all the Turkish territories. He took the title of Sultan, and after that, all the dynasties and all the rulers preferred the title of Sultan. So, this period of history is known as the Delhi Sultanate. Qutbuddin Aibak founded the slave dynasty, in which after Qutbuddin Aibak, his son-in-law Iltutmish ascended the throne. After his death,
His able daughter Razia, the only woman during the Delhi Sultanate period, ascended the throne. The scholar Minas Us Siraj acknowledged Razia's ability but also thought it to be useless. He criticized raising a woman to the throne. Because of the gender inequality and the discrimination, Razia faced many difficulties. She ruled Delhi for 4 years. After that, Ghiyasuddin Balban, the powerful noble of Razia's brother, became the next sultan. Ghiyasuddin Balban strengthened the sultanate's territories holdover. Okay, he was a good ruler and followed the Iltutmish policy. So after the end of slave dynasty, also known as Mamluk dynasty, Khalji dynasty was established by Jalaluddin Firoz. So in Khalji dynasty, there were two main powerful rulers. The first one, which is the founder of Khalji dynasty, Jalaluddin Khalji, and the second is Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji was a very famous ruler of the history. He captured Gujarat, Malwa, Rajasthan, Chittor, Mewar, and many regions of India. And all the rich kingdoms accepted his overlordship. So, Alauddin Khilji ruled almost whole of India. After Khalji's death, the Khalji dynasty came to an end. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq started Tughlaq dynasty. The Tughlaq dynasty, in Tughlaq dynasty, there were many great rulers like Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Tughlaq, the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. After the death of Firoz Tughlaq, many territories broke away. The Sultanate was rapidly declining, and Taimur's invasion happened. Taimur Lame was the ruler of Samarkand. He invaded India and occupied the territories in northwest. He plundered, looted Delhi, and after that he also occupied Delhi. He appointed Khizr Khan as his in charge. Okay, the governor Khizr Khan established the Sayyid dynasty, which lasted till 1451. After 1451, the Lodis of Afghan entered India and Bahlul Lodi occupied Delhi. Bahlul Lodi founded the Lodi dynasty, which was succeeded by Sikandar Lodi. And after Sikandar Lodi's death, it was succeeded by Ibrahim Lodi. So there were 3 rulers in Lodi dynasty. Bahlul Lodi, Sikandar Lodi, and Ibrahim Lodi. After Sikandar Lodi's death, Ibrahim Lodi succeeded the throne. In 1526, Babur, a Central Asian chief, invaded India and he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the battlefield of Panipat. Okay, so this was Babur's invasion in which he defeated Ibrahim Lodi and captured Delhi. Thus, the Lodi dynasty came to an end, Sultanate period came to an end, and Babur established the Mughal Empire. Okay children, hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. Bye.